Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Keeping It Real on Purpose. And I am your host, Edna White. Today we're going to be delving into some beautifulness, I call it anyway, because I'm meeting amazing authors who have written an amazing book. Now, I wanted to tell you, audience, it took me 2 days to read this sitting by the river. But this is going to be your soul shifting time. You're going to change the way you feel about your highest good. You're going to actually find the orchid in your life. Together, we're going to open that secret code of modern goddesses. If you've ever felt called to do something deeper, but didn't have the words, this is the place, and this one's for you. To those two amazing authors, Rocío, I'm going to mess up the last name, but she's going to say it for me.
Rocío
Last name,
Aquino.
and Angel Orengo.
Yes, that's
Yes.
perfect.
Okay, co-founders of the For the Highest Good and the authors of The Orchid, the secret code of modern goddess. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Edna. It's really a pleasure to be here with all your audience and with you. And it's wow, wow.
Thank you for the space. Thank you for that beautiful opening.
Thank you. You're welcome. You deserve every bit of it. Okay, so you say the modern goddess is rising. Who is she and why now?
It's, when we were writing the book, it was about
Mm-hmm.
the feminine energy that presented itself in our
Right.
lives very
Mm-hmm.
profoundly, and not just Rocio, but me too.
Right.
And
Okay.
Mm.
we, as we were making that transformation, it
Mm-hmm.
just was obvious, and mostly in two because of just our travels around the world. We've traveled a lot. We've together as a couple, we've lived in Mexico, in Miami, in Hong Kong, in London, and now in Los
Okay.
Angeles. And in every
Okay.
travel, Edna, we've realized and we've seen, Rocio especially, because she's the curious one that always has her eyes open, that women are still in many places second place, right?
Yeah.
And we knew that whatever project we were working on had to be about women, about strengthening the feminine in our lives. And so
I
that's
agree.
where it's coming from. It's coming from that desire not to undermine the other side,
Mm.
but to
Right.
strengthen this side so that both
Right.
sides are equal and in equal achieve a balance.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think when I was reading this book, I started to take, because I would raise my children on my own, I had to be that power person. And I didn't want to be that power person. I didn't want to be the one that bossed around. I somehow lost that feminine part and I wanted it back really badly.
Mm.
Really, really badly. I wanted to be soft. But I didn't, I had lost it. It was buried under some things, but I wanted it back. And I reading this book gave me some tools to kind of bring it forward or to uncover it and create space for it, because you do have to create space for it. Am I right?
100%. You know, Edna, this book is the book that I wish I have when I was going through a very difficult moment. And that's
Yes.
why it exists, because at one point I was asking and I was looking for forgiveness. And no
Mm-hmm.
one
Mm-hmm.
can tell you exactly the steps 1, 2, 3, 4. But you see, we were looking, and the book was a download that came to us.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
we were able to, because you have here two personalities, somebody who
Mhm.
saw life with the glass full, and then you have somebody who has saw the life with the glass half empty.
Uh-huh.
So really
Yeah.
to compensate this was so beautiful to live and to be in this journey together, He provided me the space for me to flourish. And then when I was flourishing, it's like we need to share this to the world for
Yeah. Yeah.
people to really begin to see through the characters inspiration and
Mm-hmm.
how you can really go and you do your formula because no one is gonna know better what Edna needs than Edna.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. And sometimes we depend on other people to kind of give us that guidance. Um, when I was reading the book itself, and it is a novel, guys. It's a novel. There's a difference between those two. It's a novel, and I shouldn't have said that. So I apologize for that. It's a novel, and I wanted, I wanted some answers. And of course, if you're open, you're going to get them. Um, one thing that opened for me was my thoughts around success, what it was like, and power. How do I know that you work with people all the time and you use this powerful formula. How do you help people unlearn those myths around that?
You know, we did it through the characters, right? These are archetypes that
Mm-hmm.
at the end really represent 5 stages of us, right? We have 5 women in this book.
Right.
One
Right.
of them is at the height of her success. She's
Mm-hmm.
giving a speech at the United Nations, and all she
Right.
sees is that glass half empty, right? And that was
Yes.
us in different stages of our lives, just really
Okay.
successful, but not being
Okay.
happy. Then you have another
Gotcha.
one who is just angry at the
Mm-hmm.
world, but angry because she's had to be tough in order to survive, in order to be,
That was me.
to succeed. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Me too.
and in our
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
that was more Rocio. I was not as angry with life, even though I had
Yeah.
experienced, I also experienced sexual abuse when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
I knew
Mm-hmm.
the extent of knowing my father was 5 hours at the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's the extent of my relationship with my dad.
Wow.
Um,
Fine
but there
words.
was anger in us,
Oh,
in
absolutely.
just in the way in which we had to do so many things. There's another one that's gay, and even though we're not gay,
Mm-hmm.
we are hurting that we were hiding ourselves from the world because you always have to change who you are.
And then we have
Right.
secret.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
The
and then there is
secret.
the
Yeah, the
secrets,
secret.
and
Yes.
and and that's energy that we carry ourselves, right? That we
Yes.
just don't let go. There's the other woman who is a model, sexually abused. I already
Mm-hmm.
spoke about mine. Rocio was sexually abused as an
Yes.
adult.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then there's a divorcee. And we
Wow.
both come from single mothers, right? They had to do as you just explained, and work really hard at being the best that they could be to provide for everybody else. So really,
Good.
for us, these are the archetypes. And when we sit in front of people, what we tell them is we're all so many things. We have all been so many things. And
Absolutely.
and if we haven't been them ourselves, we carry in our lineage the energy of those who have been. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
really, what we do there is, as you saw in the book, is to present it through 5 lessons: awareness, gratitude,
Right.
forgiveness, acceptance, and
Mm-hmm.
intention. And
Yes.
what we say is that when you connect with those, what you really
Mm-hmm.
begin to do is you unravel, you begin to loosen up the knots of energy that are within
Yeah.
us that allow you, because it's not our doing, it's no one else is doing it, allows you to go inside and say, oh, interesting. I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
something here that wasn't there before that I didn't even know existed. So we
Right.
invite people to have first that awareness,
Yeah.
to ask themselves, to observe themselves, and from that
Right.
observation then start writing some conclusions as to areas that they might want to work at.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. Oh, that's so good. I found myself in all 5 people. all of them. I was like, oh boy, that's me. Oh boy, that's me. And I do believe that was my point of becoming awareness was there. Like it was like a light.
Wow.
When the light shined on me, it was like, wow, wow. Now I know. Like, okay, I had an incident. They were doing just recently, just I think 3 or 4 days ago, maybe, and I was listening to the radio, and they were giving a commentary about Donna Summer
Hmm.
and everything about her life. And literally, there was a song that came on, and I don't remember what it was, and I started to cry. I'm like, what am I crying about? It was a song that was on this movie called Friday something Friday, and it was in the '70s with Bill Cosby. And I said, why am I crying, right? And it brings about the thought about we learn ourselves, right? We just learn ourselves. So when I was this book I read, I want to tell you on the weekend, and this happened maybe Monday. It happened Monday. Yeah, it was Monday because I was listening to the radio. And I said, what is that about? Right. So I didn't get the answer. I asked myself, what it was. And I waited for the answer. And lo and behold, it was me and my brother, my cousin was sitting in front of the television, and we were watching this one show, and that song came up. And that was the first day I was abused by my perpetrator because he told me to come into the room. It's the first time. And I didn't know why I was crying. But this book helps you to open up those secrets, and shine the awareness, because sometimes our mind protects us from them. But if
Yes.
we want to grow and we want to be successful and be in that real power and not be angry, not be angry, you start to shine that light of awareness. And then I had to forgive myself, because I didn't know what it was. Like when you act certain ways, you don't really know, right? You don't know, why am I acting like that? You never ask yourself. He's like, oh, that's me. But I shine the light on the awareness. I forgive myself. All of that. I go through the process of healing this woman inside of me, you know?
Thank you so much for sharing this, to be so brave, because that's the point, to understand that we need to remove this
Entanglements.
entanglement
Yeah,
of
yeah,
energy
yeah.
that we
Mm-hmm.
have inside of our
Yes.
body, and who is not allowing us to really create from zero. It's like
Yes. Yes.
in the moment you really untangle all your past, and you really doesn't, it's like I forgive, I heal, I gain harmony again.
Yeah.
In that moment, that's why in the book we take
Mm-hmm.
the women through these steps, and at the
Yeah.
end is intention, because
Right.
you gonna begin to create for a place of curiosity, like a higher, after
Yeah.
gratitude, after forgiveness, after
Mhm.
acceptance, because then when you create, you really gonna get anything that you really want.
Yeah.
So
I believe I believe
thank you
it's
so
unlearning.
much.
I believe it's unlearning. I believe that your novel really created a place to like you said, unravel. And something that really is poignant to their novel. I'm telling you, they have the best presentation because it was gift wrapped, and it had this beautiful orchid on it, which I didn't want to get rid of, and I actually made it into a bookmark. However, I will tell you that when I finished reading it and I saw how the strings were tangled up, I wish I had it. The strings were tangled up, and I said, "Oh, I'm really untangling myself."
Wow.
You had a message in every part
Wow.
of what you, the gift of the book. So I was really untangling myself. And I'm telling you, my dog was like jumping up every time. I was like, oh my gosh. And I started cracking up. I believe this. I'm screaming. I'm sitting on the side of the river now. And I'm like, people are probably saying, what is wrong with that lady? Because I'm reading the book. And I'm like, every time something was like energetically, real and true, I was like, yes. And I would just like scream out. My dog would be looking at me like, why do I even jump up? You know? But
You know,
it was
I
really
want to
good.
say something because, and I'm sure your audience is already accustomed to you, but
Yeah.
perhaps somewhere there, there's someone who's thinking, why would I want to go back to that moment in my life? It was so
Right.
painful. Or the invitation is that until you
Mm,
do, that's gonna hold on to you like something sucking your blood. And
yes.
but if you create a space of love, a container, a space in which you feel safe, and that may be with friends, that may be at a retreat, that may be reading a book in this case,
Right.
when you do and you're able, then you feel powerful enough or at least supported enough to go in there. You might
Mhm.
just heal that piece of you that's longing for it to be released. And when
Right.
you do, you claim back that energy. That's the
Right.
reason for healing. The healing is really to close the wound. The wound remains, it will always be
Right.
there. But little by
Mhm.
little, you start to feel it less and less. When I speak of my
Right.
sexual abuse, I scan my
Mhm.
body automatically to
Right.
see if I feel something somewhere, because once in a while I do. And it's like,
Right.
oh, I need to do
Yeah.
some more self forgiveness. I need to do
Yes.
more forgiveness of my perpetrator. I need to do
Yes.
whatever it is. And so
Is
that's why we
yes.
speak about it, because it's really important to let go,
Yes.
but to do so from a place of love.
Right. And I love that you said scan because I do it automatically. I just it's like it's not even like a thought I have to do that. It's just as soon as something happens, it's like, okay, what's going on? Where is it happening at? And I scan myself, and then I place my hand, on, okay, be loving and kind to this spot here. What am I, feeling? I love that the fact that you said scan your body, because your body remembers everything. It
Yes.
remembers
Everything,
everything. Yes.
everything. And once until I find out and experience this deep forgiveness,
Yes.
that I was able to clean the stories of my father, my mother, my cousin, all these that I was carrying with me all
Right.
my life. And even though that I was successful, I
Hmm.
was not really free.
Yeah. True.
That's why
Me
I
neither.
think forgiveness is the freedom
Yes.
that help you to really remove. But that's why we did a novel with
Hmm.
characters to help
Yes.
people to understand how to do it. Because Edna, I've been looking for this for 30 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and really we went to Hong Kong, we went to the Tibet, we went to India, we went to Mexico, like you can imagine everywhere.
Me too.
Egypt, Egypt, like
Me too.
everything you can imagine. And you know what? At the end is explain me. Tell me the formula how to do it because I can do it myself.
Right.
And when you begin to feel better about who you are, no one can
Hmm.
stop you.
Right. It's and it feels so good. It used to be years ago that I would feel like being myself would, oh well, upset somebody, or you know what I'm saying? I got to shy away from being myself. I was always coding for different situations and being who people wanted. I even was told, like, by some relatives, you're too big. You fill the room up. You have to calm it down a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing that to fill the room up, But and I did it for a little while when I said I can't, I can't. I got to be me. And once I started embracing even my little idiosyncrasies, my situations, and things that I have dyslexia. Sometimes I get words mixed up. I sometimes I'll see your name spelled Rocio, right? But I'll
Yeah.
see something else. I'll in my mind I'll see it'll switch the letters up. And I take that's okay. Now I apologize early, and I think my audience knows that. But I appreciate everyone's name. I love the fact that everyone has such a unique name, and I don't want to do damage to it. But I've become such a force in my own life that I don't. They truth is a part of my life, and you both know as survivors, lies were part of our lives, and secrets. We lived that way for years. To
Yes.
unravel that, this book comes into effect because we had sort of like a life burnout, right? We did. It was like our lives were
Yes.
burnt out. We didn't know how to live anymore. And I want to talk about and ask you both, as you're burning out in life, for how did you feel, or how did this show up? This novel show up in before your shift? How did it show up?
Well, at one point when I we came from the entertainment world, and I
Okay.
was looking the TV shows, and
Mhm.
really sometimes when I was looking the TV shows, I was feeling not better about myself. I was
Right.
feeling like a disenchanted. I was
Mm,
I was like you are not speaking to me anymore. For
right.
example, that's I don't want drama. I don't want to fight with more women. On the contrary, is how we can help each other. So I was
Hmm.
looking for sisterhood. So at one
Right.
point when we were talking, I say we need to share this to the world. Let's
Yeah.
do a TV show. And he say, let's do first a book, a
Right.
story to begin to end. And it's like a
Hmm.
let's do it. We don't have idea how to do it, Edma. Really.
Right.
What we
Right.
were like a walking, the universe is fantastic with us
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's like a go and jump.
Jump from the
Yes.
plane. You don't need
Jump
a
for
you
the
don't need a
plane.
Yes.
parachute.
You don't need
Yes.
parachute because I'm here with
Absolutely.
you. And it's like a
Exactly. That's how
okay,
God is. That's how God is. It's like, God, I got you.
go.
And it's
Go.
you don't need a parachute because I'm going to give you
No.
wings,
Yes.
Yes.
you know?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
I
So
I say the same thing. It's like how we get like how do I get here? Like, God did it. It's like, go ahead, just do it. I got you.
yes, it's super scary. You feel
Yeah.
there is so many things in the same time, but we understand something super
Yes.
important today, not in the
Yeah.
moment of the book. He has it more clear because he, in another life, in another moment, he was a monk. He was elevated. But when I
Yeah.
saw him, I've been watching him for 25 years to see how you do it because I was not so home. I was really like a more like you see the characters, a little bit
Yes.
more like Sophia. Like, nah, I don't believe this. This is that. You see? And he was
Yes.
more merry.
Mm-hmm.
So at
Right.
one point, believe me, the most important thing that we understand today, the book is right in the energy of love.
yes.
Yes.
Is that vibration, page
Yeah.
by page, all
Right.
the
Yeah.
time.
You're right. Yeah. You're right.
And so how we did it today, I can tell you, yeah, we know how to do it. No, we didn't have idea.
What I would say is we are trained as human beings to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about doing, doing, doing.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
we often focus on but leave very little time for being. And
Right.
what ended up happening in our lives is that after the pandemic really was that point in time that really shook us up and said,
Mm. All of
it's
us.
time
Yeah.
for being.
Mm-hmm.
And we took it so seriously. It coincided with my exit from the corporate world. It coincided that our
Mm-hmm.
daughters were growing up and didn't need us as much anymore. They
Uh-huh.
were more independent. And we started studying, did a course in spiritual psychology, read an incredible amount of books. And it all of a
Right.
sudden, Edna, we would come out of lessons and we were being so much that we were floating. And because we had each other, we would look at each other and say, are you experimenting what I'm experimenting? Because what I'm experimenting feels very weird, except that I'm feeling it. I can't help it.
Yeah.
And sure
Yeah.
enough, we would say yes to each other. It was by being that then,
Yes.
as we open ourselves up for love and for that new vibration, at that point,
Mm.
the book revealed itself.
Yeah.
And it revealed
That's
itself and it just took off. And it was, we really just surrendered to the project and the
yeah.
project drove us. And it's not like we just did it alone. We had a lot of help along the way,
Of
but
course. Of
each
course.
one of them presented themselves almost without us looking.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love when
Incredible.
that happens.
It's incredible.
I
It's
love how I love
incredible.
when that
And that's why I think we need to tell more people, Etna. And
yeah.
that's is important, all the listeners, really
Mm-hmm.
to begin to see,
Mm.
invest in yourself because
Absolutely.
really pays pays dividends because
Yeah.
then when you really align all your being,
Mm-hmm.
is incredible. We are at the beginning, I was not aligned. My thoughts were thinking something else, my words was something else, my
Yes.
feelings and my acts. But little by
Yes.
little, I was aligned everything. And the congruency
Mm-hmm.
makes that everything arrives faster.
Right. It
There's
does.
something there's something that happens, and you said before, like someone mentioned to you, wow, you try to you take over the room, right? It's not that
Mm-hmm.
Etna was too big, is that they were too small. They
Right.
too have the same opportunity to take over the space. And and what how sad would the world be if Etna didn't give herself the ability or the
Yeah.
opportunity to be the greatest version of herself that she can
Yeah.
be? And by the way, that would be a detriment to us too if you are not
Right.
that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. All of us lend to each other, and I always tell everybody when I'm working with them, the world is waiting for you. They're waiting for you.
Yes.
Yes.
We need them. We really
Yes.
need them, all of
Yeah.
them, to
Mm-hmm.
see what is the problem that they can solve.
Absolutely.
We need to help to build bridges
Yes.
between everyone. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the book, Edna, helps to create bridges with yourself,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
with your couple, with your kids, with your mother. It's like
Yes.
you begin to understand and have the same language.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you work with men too. How do they fit into this goddess code world?
The other day, I was very religious growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
so
I. Yeah.
I'm comfortable with the Bible. I love the Bible. I think it teaches great lessons and it's a holy book.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was reading the fifth commandment, honor
Okay.
your mother and thy father and thy mother.
Mm-hmm.
And what came to me at that moment was, oh my goodness, what I need to honor is the masculine and feminine energy inside of me. That balance.
Yes.
And so, how do men play into this? My gosh, how could they not?
Right.
It is about achieving a balance in ourselves first, and women have to heal both masculine and energy and feminine energy inside of them, and so do men. But when I achieve that balance in me,
Mm-hmm.
something
Wow.
happened, and I
Wow.
became more powerful, more
Right.
grounded, more focused,
Right.
more intentional, more effective,
Compassion.
more compassionate, you name it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so
Right.
the invitation is for the men to go through this process because when
Mm-hmm.
they are in a good place and their partner is in a good place, then all of a sudden the relationship changes and
Right.
everything around you changes. And by the way, the same is true in the world. We have had a
Mhm.
patriarchal, a masculine energy taking over the world for a long time. And frankly,
Absolutely.
it seems like a little feminine energy could help a lot.
A lot.
Right. And
A little
so
bit.
so let's achieve that balance. It's not about one taking over the other. It cannot
Right.
be. It's about achieving balance. That's for me is where the men come in this
Right.
conversation.
And
Right.
for
Go
me,
ahead. Mm-hmm.
for me, I would love that when a man comes to me and say, I read the book and help me to understand better women and
Mm-hmm.
how
Oh
they
wow.
think and what is their process. And
Mm-hmm.
since I read the book, I have better relationship with my wife, plus
Mm,
with my family. It's like I understand more for what reason they did what they did, and
right.
is this beautiful bridge.
Right. Right. That's good. As Angel was talking, I saw the balance. You know how they have the scales with the balance, but then my spirit showed me the circle, which matches your orchid.
Hmm.
Wow.
It's not a balance like this. It's a circle. It's a continuous circle.
The circle, that's why, for example, we lived in China for a few 6 years, and
Uh-huh.
there it's very common to have round tables
Absolutely, all
because
the time.
everybody is in an equal space. And
Yes.
so, absolutely. And that's, I think, what we need to aim for. That's why we're all over the place and we're
Yeah.
experience highs and lows, is because when we're not balanced. And by the way, that's true of eat too much, eat too little, drink too
Mhm.
much, drink too little. When you're not in balance,
Yeah.
it shows up in life.
It shows up. Yeah. My famous saying is anything in excess is more than enough.
Yes.
It's excess. So I had to learn that working. We think addiction could be like drugs and alcohol. No, working.
Shopping.
Working. Yeah, shopping. Too much church. Churching. It's too much of anything
Right.
in error. Too much. And you're not taking care of life in a balance. You know, um, it hurts us. It really does.
And by the way, it's not
Yeah.
just something that we do. We are constantly bombarded with messages
Yes.
all over the place
Yes. Yes.
that tell us that we're not enough, that
Yes.
happiness is outside of us, whether it's
Yes.
clothing, food, drinks, a postal code,
Absolutely.
whatever it is.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Totally agree. I totally agree. We don't need to listen to the messages. We need to listen to the downloads, what Roshia said earlier. The downloads are
Yes.
important, not the messages. The
Is
downloads.
Edna now? Today I was having this conversation about how important is to take care of our energy,
Yes.
because this person was really afraid or concerned of what is happening in LA between
Mm,
the fires and the demonstrations, and because I'm Mexican and all these things. And what I was telling that person is, we have two options. We can look, we have many options, but this is how I see it.
right, right.
We can
Okay.
focus in the drama in social
Right.
media, or we can focus in be okay and in the joy, in the good of the world, and how we can work together. So I
Yep.
was telling her that in my space, in my personal, for me, is I'm gonna follow the joy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna follow conversation. I'm gonna follow, uh, you know,
Yeah.
commitment.
Yes.
So I don't see all the drama that
Mm,
is happening, because really affects me. And for
Yeah.
me, the most important right now is to be in the highest frequency,
Yeah.
love that creates abundance,
Yeah.
creativity, love,
Yeah.
connection. So
Ab-
it's something to consider, to really ask yourself for what reason I given the most important thing that I have to something that is making me feel terrible.
Right.
So
Right.
it's for somebody to consider.
Absolutely. I agree with that totally. And I know that protecting my peace, I've been doing that a lot lately because people, like you say, are calling and talking about, you see what's going on over here? And one of my friends called me from Florida and they said, well, he's going to, the president's going to do this and all of this, and the cops are going to be, and I was like, stop right now. I said, I did not call you for this, and I don't watch the news. I keep updated on some things. You got to keep updated. I just don't want to hear that because that's just putting things into my spirit early morning, in the morning. I don't want
Yes,
that. I don't want that into my energy. I don't need it. And I said, honestly, you don't need it. You need to look outside. You have a grandson. Enjoy your grandson. He's there with you. Enjoy, like I enjoy my pup. I enjoy looking out my window. I enjoy those things that bring you joy. Embrace those things, and they will take you to a higher vibration. Always,
Yes.
always.
yes, yes.
So, last part is give us a go-to ritual that you have when we feel like the world is knocking us off our purpose.
I have severals. I have
Okay.
severals because believe me, sometimes the illusion of being alone doing
Mhm.
this is an illusion. But
Yes.
what I love doing is meditate in the morning, like a meditation in the morning. And I do
Hmm.
it at the beginning, I was doing it for 5 seconds, for 5 minutes, but now I do it for 1 hour
Yeah.
because that is what connect me that I'm safe, I'm okay. It's like a to the present moment right now. That's for me is the connection
Yeah.
directly.
For
Hmm.
me, I resort a lot to gratitude.
Yes.
And part of what we've done in these lessons is to bring them down from our brain, from a thought.
Mm.
Oh, I need to be grateful. Oh, thank you, God. To
Right.
a feeling, to an emotion,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, what
Yes.
does being grateful feel like? When you say
Feel like.
thank you, God, what
Yes.
does that
Yes.
feel like? Because that's the
Feel like.
important thing. And
Yes.
so, for
Yes.
example, when I'm angry, when I'm not when I'm out of harmony, whatever that
Yes.
is, and sometimes it's a conversation between us, sometimes
Hmm.
it's something that happens outside of the house. What I normally do is I pick a spot. If I'm home, I literally will lay down on the floor and just
Mm.
close my eyes and
Okay.
start giving thanks for everything that comes to mind. And the trick that we show in the book, as you saw, is
Yes.
ABC. Use the
Yep.
ABC. I
Hmm.
am, I am thankful for the coffee in my hand. I am thankful
Yes.
for the warm shower I took. I am
Yes.
thankful for the
Yes.
clothes I'm wearing. I am
Yes.
thankful because it doesn't matter what you're thankful about, what you're grateful
Hmm.
for. What matters is that you enter into the energy of gratitude.
Yes.
And when that happens, what I've now understanding, what's happened to me again and again, so now it's a go-to tool, is that something shifts in me and
Hmm.
pushes the negativity out, the anger,
Right.
the disappointment, the sadness, the loneliness. Sometimes we wake up in the morning, Edna, and we ask ourselves, this is so lonely sometimes. Are we sure
Hmm.
that this is the path that we want to take? And
Hmm.
I know that it's a feeling and an emotion more than a real thing that's happening. And so I take the time to change it through gratitude.
Right. That's good. That's good. Well, the final thing is to how can my audience really get in touch with you, and if they want to ask
Look,
you any
I don't
question.
know, Edna, when this is gonna be air.
Hmm.
Do you
It's
know
probably going to
when?
be. It's probably going to be in October.
Okay, fantastic. So we have so many ways you can contact us.
Okay.
It's gonna be right now is the website, theorchidbook.com,
Okay.
and look there what we are doing what we are doing in that time. But the most important is begin with the book. And in social media, we answer any message, anything.
And
Okay.
the book is available in English, in Spanish, in
Mhm.
electronic format, print format, and audiobook format,
Awesome. Awesome.
and any platform that sells books.
Okay. Awesome. That is terrific. This was powerful and this was purpose. This was pure goddess energy. A huge thank you to Rocío and Angel for reminding us all you don't have to fight for what's already inside of you. To decode your own divine blueprint, check out their book, The Orchid. And if you're ready to stop surviving and start thriving, check it out. And remember, until next time, keep it real and keep it on purpose. This is Edna White and my esteemed guest saying goodbye for now.
Thank you,
Bye.
Edna.
Thank you
Goodbye,
so
everyone.
much. A lot of love. Besos.